funds intended to empower the residents.
Today also we have just signed those amendments according to the requirements of the control of budget, and we should be able now to address emergencies of various kinds in the county, because we will be able to allocate adequate resources and be able to spend those resources without the back and forth that has been happening between us and the control of budget.
He added that his government will increase the allocation of the bursary kitty during the next budget in order to compensate for the 2 years where funds had been reallocated to other projects.
We really reallocated a lot of projects. Those who know, because we have been forced to pay 630 million of the debt of the previous government, and that actually reduced the amount of constructions and infrastructure developments that we had budgeted for, including the bursary, which we easily removed to pay those debts because students last year were studying from home. So this time, therefore, we will double the figure, or thereabout. Even if maybe not double, we have to raise the figure adequately depending on availability of funds.
Governor Kuti lauded the county assembly for their effort to ensure the stalemate was successfully resolved. For Lunchtime News, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
Meanwhile, the Kajiado County Security Committee has begun identifying livestock traders and herders in the region in an attempt to curb rampant livestock theft. Now, Athi River Deputy County Commissioner Charles Wambiru says the government will take action against local administrators found abetting livestock theft and other criminal activities in the region.
Last 7 months, over 700 herds of cattle have been stolen in Kajiado County. The ensuing crisis has led to increased security surveillance as well as pockets of violence. The government has embarked on an exercise to curb the vice, warning chiefs against abetting crime.
We also realize that cases of stock theft are prompted or motivated by traders who want to buy stolen animals for slaughter and all that.
Increased surveillance has led to the recovery of some 400 herds of cattle stolen in the region.
Nia yetu ni kuhakikisha kwamba iko police presence katika raia, na hiyo tukiwa na askari na pia kutumia ile magari tuko nayo, tutaweza kuhakikisha kwamba askari wana patrol hizo areas, na wale ambao wako na nia ya kuiba mifugo na kusafirisha mifugo hawataweza kufaulu katika nia zao.
The rise in insecurity and livestock theft have seen locals take matters into their own hands. A few weeks ago, some 4 young men lost their lives in the region after they were allegedly mistaken for cattle rustlers. Yusuf Far reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, locals in MAKIMA, Mbeere South, who were evicted from their land by the Tana and Athi River Development Authority, have told the National Assembly Committee on Security that they were tortured during the evictions. The residents are now demanding justice and are asking the committee to investigate the matter.
Speaking when the committee toured the area on a fact-finding mission, the evictees claimed that despite having occupied the piece of land for ages, they were subjected to torture. Paul Kamau, a resident of Ndunguni in MAKIMA ward, urged the government to give them title deeds to continue living in their ancestral land.
But hiyo tarehe 23 ilikuwa saa 5-6 sao, tukaona mkondo wa gari kama ilikuwa maroli 8 ikijaa mapolisi nini wara nini, tukasema leo iko nini, mkono ikaingiliwa. Tukauliza ni nini, na saa hiyo watu wako kwa hiyo masoko, hakuna mtu ambao ameambiwa kuna hii tutakuja kufomoa masoko. Sasa hiyo tingatinga sikaanza kufomoa.
Tunaomba serikali ituone, tangu nisaliwa 1972 nimekuwa hapo, nimeshika baba yangu hapo, mama yangu alikufa njuzi wakati kulikuwa na hiyo mfurukano.
Mbeere South Member of Parliament Geoffrey Kingangi calling for justice for the residents amid allegations that the land was being leased to a private developer.
I do not understand how vile unaweza kusema watu nyumba 1,000 karibu 1,000 na mashule na market na nini yote you can wish it away kwa kupiga watu na rungu. Haiwezekani, manake tuko na sheria.
Ni shamba iko na mahospitali, ni shamba iko na makanisa. Where was TARDA when all these things were happening over the years of almost 40-45 years, that they are finding it fit to come 45 years later to evict innocent citizens from their pieces of land?
However, Emilio Mugo, the acting managing director for TARDA, says that the evictions were a legal process and that the court had affirmed that the land was properly demarcated.
The removal that happened both in Masinga and Kiambere was a legal exercise. The court decided the matter in favor of the authority on the 12th of March 2020.
Nancy Okwari, Lunchtime News.
Now, residents of Magarini, Kilifi County have called on Kilifi County government to streamline sand harvesting in the region. The locals claim they are languishing in poverty due to a drop in sand prices and constant wrangles between players in the business. Residents of Timboni claim that it costs the mayor 1,500 shillings to fill up a 10-wheel truck, down from 6,750.
Za mchanga zimeenda chini sana, tofauti na pale nyuma tulipokuwa mchanga tunauza kupitia kwa chama.
Control, sababu kama kuna price control ingekuwa bei ni moja, sababu watu wenye mashamba ni wengi.
A lot of land have been harvested, people have been harvesting sand, but you find that the local community cannot even take their children to school because what they are being given is peanuts compared to the sand and the loading and the activities that's happening in the environment.
The locals say the death of cooperative movements in the area has led to exploitation of landowners.
Tunauza bei ya kurusha, kwa mfano mguu 10 kama ile inauzwa mchanga shilingi 1,500. Kinyume na wakati ule tulipokuwa na cooperative tulikuwa tunauza ile gari shilingi 6,750. Trailer tunauza shilingi 3,000. ambapo wakati ule ilikuwa shilingi 17,000.
Sand harvesting in Magarini began in 1985 and has thrived over the years until wrangle started. Now the landowners are calling on Kilifi County government to come to their rescue before they lose their livelihood. Residents say there is need for strict laws to regulate the prices of sand.
Kila kukicha bei inazidi kurudi nyuma. Tumeshindwa hata na kuhifadhi mazingira kwa sababu pesa ya mazingira hakuna.
Now, the government has been asked to construct historical monuments in memory of people who fought to liberate Kenya from British colonial rule. Former Kiambu Deputy Governor Gerald Githinji says there is need for the state to provide material and logistical support to ensure the country does not forget the sacrifices made by fighters who gave their lives to free Kenya from colonial bondage.
Governor Gerald Githinji says Kenya should not lose faith in preserving important history.
Hakuna nchi yoyote ambayo watu wao wanakufa wanasahaulika. Wakifa tunawakumbuka. Na kumbusho ile ya watu hao ni muhimu.
Wanjiku Koinange, sister to the late Mbiu Koinange and founder of Githunguri Teachers College, says different groups of people who played various roles in the fight for Kenya deserve a place in Kenya's history. The veteran stressed that the fighters were diligent workers of the nation.
Kithunguri, nikiwa mtoto mdogo, wasichana wazima walikuwa wanakuja wananichukua, tunakuja Kirere, wanafurahi nikiwa mtoto. Sisi watu wa nyumba ya Koinange ni wafanyikazi kwa forori. Ni wafanyikazi wa nchi.
George Gitao, National Chairman, Kenya Unity for Memorial Peace, Heritage and Cultural Organization, says histories of freedom fighters will be taught in schools as well be preserved in museums to educate coming generations.
Wale watu walinyongewa hapa, list yao niko naye. Tukimaliza hapa, hata kwa vitabu watawekwa majina yao, kama watu kama hao wawekwe, watu kama wale walinunua shamba wawekwe, ili watoto wetu na vizazi vijavyo waone mahali tumetoka, tabu tumepitia, kama Bible. Tuweke tu vitabu kama Bible, na hiyo vingine ndio tutaweka nini, na ndio tunalilia misiamu iwe hapa.
For Lunchtime News, Yusuf Hilo.
Moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has appointed a tribunal to look into the petition on removal from office of Lady Justice Mary Muthoni Gitumbi, Judge of the Environment and Land Court, on medical grounds. The Judicial Service Commission submitted a petition for her removal, citing medical grounds. Pending advisory from the tribunal, the President has suspended Justice Muthoni from office with immediate effect.
Acting in accordance with the recommendation of Judicial Service Commission, President Uhuru Kenyatta has with immediate effect suspended Honorable Lady Justice Mary Muthoni Gitumbi, Judge of the Environment and Land Court, from office on medical grounds. The President, in pursuant of Article 168(5)(b) of the Constitution of Kenya, as read with Section 31 of the Judicial Service Act 2011, the President subsequently appointed a tribunal to look into the matter. The tribunal will be chaired by Honorable Lady Justice Helen Amolo Omondi. Other members of the tribunal are Justice Luka Kiprotich Kimaru, Honorable Lady Justice Lynette Ndolo, Peter Munge Murage, Mary Martha Nyakado Mboyo, and Dr. Frank Jenga and Margaret Othieno Makonyengo. The Judicial Service Commission has, in pursuant to Article 168 of the Constitution, submitted a petition for her removal from office on grounds that she is unable to perform the functions of office arising from mental incapacity. Caroline Kamau for Lunchtime News.
Well, from that we cross over to County Hall, where National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee is vetting the 4 chosen among 36 Kenyans to fill vacant positions of IEBC commissioners, the 4 being Juliana Wehonge Chirera, Francis Mathenge Wanderi, Irene Cherop Masit, and Justice Abonyo Nyangaya. This is after President Uhuru Kenyatta nominated the 4 and forwarded their names to National Assembly for vetting upon receiving the report of the selection panel for the appointment of commissioners of IEBC. Currently, Justice Abonyo Nyanga is currently being vetted. Let's listen in.
16 members of parliament into the August House, and in 2002 we merged the political party with NAK and NARC, having learnt our lessons in 1997 when all the presidential candidates went on their own. So in 2002, albeit very painful, we learnt our lesson, and we then captured power, as it may, and the rest is history.
Thank you. That is very impressive. Do you want also to say 1 or 2 statements about your experience to issues to do with governance and especially elections? Because that is the specific reason you're here.
Yes. As far as governance is concerned, I have worked in the area of governance, and I would like to say very candidly right here that when the South Sudan and the North Sudan were in turmoil, we were asked and we responded as an organization called Inter-Sudanese Consultation on Peace and Justice to organize a consultation on a number of political parties that felt that they were left out of the IGAD-sponsored comprehensive peace negotiation. We then brought all the political parties together, including SPLA, and UMA Party, to talk about peace, to talk about comprehensiveness and participation of the other political parties that felt left out. And Mr. Chairman, I must say that having done that, we were also given an increased mandate to explore and bring into the negotiation issues of Southern Blue Nile, Abia, and Nuba Mountains people that felt that they needed to be on the table of negotiation. Although they did not reach the table of negotiation, but they were invited in as observers, which was an absolute success in terms of involving people in this.
Thank you very much.
So that is something that we did.
Let me recognize the presence of our chairman, Honorable Muturi Kigano, who is present with us. I do not know for what reason he wants me to chair this meeting in his presence, but that will come clear. All right. As you know, Mr. Justice Nyang'aya, the approval hearings are controlled by the Constitution itself. And then there is a Parliamentary Approvals Act, which controls or which designates matters to do with approval hearings. And specifically, Section 7 of that Act outlines issues which constitutes matters that should be considered in approval hearings, and one of them is the procedure which was used to arrive at the nominee, which is you. The procedure which was used. Number two is the constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the office in question. That is number two. Constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the office in question. And number three is the suitability of the nominee, that is you, for the appointment of the office proposed. Suitability. Abilities, in regards to abilities, experience, and qualities meeting the office to which you have been nominated. So those are some of the broad issues that we are interested in. Of course, there is the general guidance under the Constitution, which is wider, and members are not necessarily tied to these three issues. And so we want to hear you. You have introduced yourself, but now you have come to us for approval.
Absolutely.
We want to give you, say, 5 minutes only to express yourself as to whether you are suitable for the office for which you have been nominated. Please keep time, because members are working through lunch hour. We seem to be working from home. So spend only 5 minutes to say something about how you think you are suitable for the office for which you have been nominated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I am confident that I am indeed suitable for this office. My background, especially in the area of peace and conflict transformation, will add value to the work of IEBC. I did watch IEBC. I'm not an insider, but it's like a footballer that is watching football being played. There's so many ideas that run in their heads and feel that if they were inside there, they would do something. But I felt that the reason why the four of us are being nominated is because 4 people from the commission had actually walked out of the commission. My own feeling, without judgment, is that this is something that they may have worked out and represent the people, the office, and the country that had given them the mandate to run the election. I felt that it may have been something to do with, wasn't there anybody that could have worked with them to work out their differences and continue to work as a commission? That is the question that I ask myself. And I did work on issues to do with peace and conflict transformation with the Sudanese. It was a much more difficult thing to do, and we did it, and we managed to have people work together. I will bring that kind of skill into the commission. I look again at the issues of lobbying, for example, and lobbying is an absolutely important area of work in the commission, because at that level, that's where the commission comes and sits down with parliamentarians, for example, and say that since we really don't have enough budget, for example, where do we have the deficit? And I listened to the Speaker of the National Assembly say, why can't the Commission come back and tell us that they have the deficit and convince us? And we will find money for them to handle an effective election in 2022. I feel that this is something that I will bring in terms of lobbying. But again, Mr. Chairman, let me just share with you briefly some of a piece of work, or maybe two, that I did with the member states of the UN to discuss arms trade treaty, which was only discussed at the level of conventional arms. But they had not included the small arms, light weapons, ammunition, munition, transfer of technology, and other things that were actually in Africa killing us. And that, if that was not included in the arms trade treaty as a conventional treaty, part of the treaty, Africa will go on killing themselves because the access of small arms and light weapons, which was basically majorly used in conflicts in Africa. We don't manufacture them, but they're manufactured elsewhere, needed to be regulated. And as part of the team that was working with UN member states in New York for 2 years, we managed to bring in small arms, light weapons, ammunition, munition, transfer of technology, and the regulation that comes with it. That, for me, is a skill, is a value, is something that I will bring in. Lastly, and I hope that 5 minutes is not over yet, team building and policy enactment is a big thing for IEBC. When I was working for Amnesty International, I did manage to bring in a beginning of a conversation around Nairobi City Master Plan. We were still using 1948 Master Plan. Up to the time that I brought this, I did a research entitled The Unseen Majority. And the unseen majority brought out that the unseen majority were 2 million people living in Nairobi without being planned for by government, because nobody knew that they existed. These are people that...
Well, that is Justice Abonyo Nyang'aya, who is an IEBC Commissioner nominee, appearing before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee for vetting. We shall have a comprehensive, a comprehensive report later on in our subsequent bulletins. Well, on a separate note, remember at 1:50 we shall be airing live the opening ceremony of the Paralympics in Tokyo. Remember, that is at 1:50 p.m. For now, we take a short break. Don't go too far.
Jemo kuget Go TV ilikuwa decision moja fiti sana kwa life yake. Usitake jua kuget machua mtimam za kuchekifuta ilikuwa ngori kuruka na zilidai mamkwanja. Alafu ikajipa. Jemo akawai discovery moja bigi. Siku hizi zinamshika mtaani akicheza pro na home ground advantage. Get home ground advantage ukijishikia decoder ya Go TV kwa bei nafuu ya 1,299 bob plus 1 month Go TV Plus. Enjoy the world's biggest leagues na cup competitions Futa season. Go TV. Love it.
The excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Hakika ule uamuzi niliochukua kumhusu Badi ulikuwa wa makosa. Najutia kusema la kweli. Haukuwa uamuzi wa busara kabisa.
Tulimalizana mimi na wewe. Sawa. Na sijui kwa nini nifuata hapa.
Nataka kukushukuru kwa kunirudishia sauti yangu.
Ni vizuri mtu kuchukua muda na kufikiria mambo kwa makini.
Wewe, nilikuleta hapa kuja kufanya nini?
Yaani ya maneno ya kujirudia. What type of nonsense is this?
Welcome back. And on matters business, the Central Bank of Kenya plans to raise 75 billion shillings through an infrastructure bond to fund various projects. According to the CBK prospectus, the 20-year bond will help fund the construction of the Nairobi Bus Rapid Transport System, extend the standard gauge railway to Naivasha town, and expansion of the Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia transport project.
Time, the Central Bank of Kenya is inviting bids for an infrastructure bond this year. The first one was in January that raised 50 billion shillings, and the second offer in April, which the CBK raised 82.9 billion shillings. The two earlier offers had a tenure of 18 and 16 years. A statement from the market regulator says the 75 billion shillings infrastructure bond will be sold between 20th of August 2021 and 7th September this year. The funds raised will go towards financing a number of infrastructure projects currently underway in various parts of the country. CBK says the Nairobi Bus Rapid Transport System will get 700 million shillings. Construction of the next phase of the standard gauge railway linking Phase 2A to Naivasha Town, 7.2 billion shillings, while the Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor will receive 7.5 billion shillings from the offer. The prospectus indicate that the first 50% redemption is slated for the 1st of September 2031 and 18th of August 2042 for 100% final redemption of all outstanding amounts. The infrastructure bond is said to be listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange with its secondary trading in multiples of 50,000 shillings to commence trading on the 14th of next month. O'Brien Kimani for Lunchtime Business News.
Well, still on matters infrastructure, we cross over to Mombasa County, where our reporter Junaid Karisa is on standby to give us a more detailed report on the infrastructure projects by the Kenya Highways Authority. Junaid, take it away.
Good afternoon, Jacky Wambiru. I'm joined by the chairman, just to give us to give us a brief on the status of some of the development projects here in Mombasa County. Remember, there's so many development projects that are happening here in Mombasa County. We have the Mombasa Southern Bypass. Very soon we will have the commencement of the Mombasa to Kilifi dual carriageway, and all this is taking place in just a short time. So I'm just going to leave the chairman to just give us a status report on some of these particular projects. Karibu sana.
Thank you. So thank you very much, and I think this afternoon, together with my members of my board and my management, we are visiting this region to basically examine the progress. And as you know, we have quite a number of good projects that are meant first to increase the convenience to the people in Mombasa and the entire coast region, but also to increase the attractiveness of Mombasa to tourists and also to industry. You remember that between this section of Mwache to Kibudani, we are also serving the special economic zone that the president has been very keen to see how it's developing. So all of us then in the ministry, including our CS, we are following this very, very keenly to see that we finish this in time. And I mean, it's a very, very, very huge investment, ranging to more than 60 billion shillings in the different projects. And beyond that, we have 23 projects that are running to maintain what is already existing. We have a total of 1,800 kilometers of road network under Kenya in the coast region, and out of this, approximately 50%, 940 to be precise, is tarmacked. We of course are making effort to see that by and by we shall increase the sections of the road that are paved. So therefore we are doing twofold. The first thing is to ensure that what is already existing is maintained, to see that it continue giving the best service to the people, and secondly, increasingly increase the section of the roads that are paved. So we've seen what is happening. Of course, where we are standing, you remember that this section we observed as part of our maintenance that there was a bit of weakness in the slope because of the water that is coming up from the airport, and so we've had a very extensive work costing about 300 million shillings to restore. And in the next 2 weeks, this work will be fully restored, and we are certain that come the rain season in October, this is stable and safe for the motorists to continue using this road as they ought to do. On the other hand, the section between Mombasa kwa Jomvu around the Changamwe interchange, I think our CS was here last week, and I think you certainly have witnessed that this is very good progress. It's a very modern, very elaborate interchange. So let me say in short, we are happy at what we are seeing.
Jacky Wambiru, that is all we have for you right now. We will be just joining the chairman and of course his team to ascertain some of these development projects here. As he has rightly put it, they are very extensive, just to ensure that Mombasa County is expanded in matters infrastructure. I hand it back to you, Jacky Wambiru, in studio.
Well, that was our reporter Junaid Karisa with a detailed report on infrastructural projects in Mombasa County. Now, Moving on, Helen WAWIRA is confident of securing Kenya's first gold medal when the Tokyo Paralympic Games kick off today in Japan. After missing out on gold at the World Cup, WAWIRA believes her extensive training with coach Lena Marita and team manager Joseph Ochieng will enable her achieve her target of lifting up to 100 kgs in the powerlifting 41 kg and above category. The opening ceremony of the International Showcase will be live on KBC this afternoon.
Powerlifter at this year's Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, Helen WAWIRA Kariuki, this morning wound up her training at the Tokyo International Forum Center. WAWIRA, who arrived in Tokyo on Sunday under a strong technical bench led by Lena Nyaboke Marita, exuded confidence of making Kenya proud.
Kwanza before nifike huku kidogo nilikuwa na tension, but jana venye niliingia huku training nilisikia tu nimejawa na confident ingine. Sijaipata confident kama hiyo, so niko tayari kwa hii mashindano.
This morning, the coaches were doing the last stretches on her training program, patching up the gaps to ensure she's ready for her competition, as confirms head coach Lena Marita, who is also the treasurer of Kenya National Paralympic Committee.
Matayarisho imekuwa mzuri. Venye tuliingia camp, tunashukuru serikali na Ministry ya Sport kutuweka kampu mapema. Hii imetusaidia sana na tuko na matumaini.
Other members on the bench include team manager Joseph Ochieng and loader David Waore.
Helen WAWIRA will be the first Kenyan athlete to enter the pitch on Thursday during the powerlifting event that is scheduled to take place at 1 p.m. Tokyo time. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Elina Shiveka.
Michael Antonio became West Ham's all-time Premier League record goal scorer as his double helped the Hammers thrash a 10-man Leicester 4-1 at the London Stadium. West Ham are back at the London Stadium on Saturday as they aim to continue with their perfect start when they host Crystal Palace in a London derby, while Leicester travel to Carrow Road to take on Norwich City.
Pablo Fornals put West Ham